Welcome to JK Tells a Story, where real-life dramas unfold. Sit back and enjoy today's tale. A few days before Christmas, I waited in the arrivals lounge at Charlotte Douglas International Airport in Charlotte, North Carolina. I watched other families and loved ones greet each other as they entered the terminal after their flights from various destinations. I was waiting for my wife, Dr. Sarah Catherine Bennett, to return home. Sarah had been working in Puerto Rico for the past 6 months, and I hadn't seen her in about a month since Thanksgiving. My name is Michael Sullivan, but my friends and coworkers call me Mike for obvious reasons. I'm the same age as my wife, 27, but while she's a doctor, I became an engineer and work here in the city. I'm 6 feet tall with dark brown hair and brown eyes. Sarah and I were high school sweethearts, each other's first love. We went to college together, but I graduated early while Sarah was still studying to become a doctor. We married shortly after graduating from college almost 2 years ago and have been renting a nice 3-bedroom house in South Charlotte together since then. Sarah's first job after medical school was working for an NGO, a non-governmental organization called Doctors Without Borders. They give doctors 6 or 12-month contracts to work in developing countries where medical care is desperately needed. Many young doctors like Sarah take this opportunity to gain experience, plus working in humanitarian aid always looks very good on a resume. Sarah was about halfway through her 12-month contract, having first traveled to Puerto Rico last summer, with her assignment scheduled to end the following June. It's hard having a long-distance relationship. We've been so close and done everything together since we were 16. These periods between her visits home are the longest I've spent without her in the last 10 years. I've missed her so much. As I walked past the other passengers, I saw the wavy blonde hair of an attractive woman. That's my Sarah. She's 5'7" with long wavy blonde hair and beautiful blue eyes. Her smile grew even wider when she saw me waiting for her, and she walked over to me holding out her arms for a hug. "Hi, honey. It's so good to see you," Sarah said as we embraced. "Hi to you too, beautiful. You look even better than you did a month ago. You've been working on your tan again, haven't you?" "You look amazing," I replied. "Thanks. I try to tan every day when I can. There's nothing else to do but work," replied Sarah as we walked to the baggage claim. We spent the next hour or so catching up on everything Sarah had missed over the last month. Although I'm not that good at gossiping, she didn't tell me much about her job, only that it had been business as usual since she was last home. While Sarah was in the kitchen calling her mom, I helped her carry her suitcase upstairs to our bedroom. I unzipped and opened it so she could start unpacking when she was ready. As I opened the lid of the suitcase, I noticed an article of clothing on one side. I pulled it out to examine it. It was a red see-through teddy. I had never seen her wear it before. Maybe she bought it to surprise me since it looked brand new. So I put it back and closed the lid of the suitcase. After we ate dinner, I was looking forward to being intimate with Sarah again. It had only been a month, but even that was too long. I half expected her to come to bed in that red teddy I'd seen earlier, but instead she came out of the bathroom in a long t-shirt. Maybe she was saving it for a special occasion. We spent Christmas Day at my parents' house since Sarah's parents had moved to Florida a few years ago. On the 3rd day of Sarah's visit, I still felt like something was missing, that spark that we usually have. I thought back to Thanksgiving, and I have to say that the 2 nights Sarah was home weren't the best either. I chalked it up to the fact that she was tired from traveling, and she also told me that she'd worked herself to exhaustion and needed a well-deserved rest while she was here. But what about now? She doesn't seem tired or worn out anymore, but at the same time she doesn't have the spark and enthusiasm that she had before she left in the summer. Maybe I'm just fantasizing. Maybe I'm remembering our intimacy as something better than it actually was, but I don't think I am. When the last day and night came, I was still waiting for her to wear the new red teddy I'd seen in her suitcase. If ever there was a night for it, it was tonight. Sarah was flying out in the morning, so tonight was our last night together until she comes back for the weekend at the end of February and then spends a week here for Easter. I was disappointed when she came into the bedroom again wearing only a roomy t-shirt, one of my old ones. I was tempted to ask her about the red teddy but didn't, focusing instead on giving her the love she deserves. In the morning, after taking Sarah to the airport and saying goodbye to her, I watched her plane take to the sky to carry her away from me again. It's these days that take the most energy, as the countdown to her return begins anew. But that wasn't all that was eating at me. I'd never felt so disconnected from Sarah as I did during this visit. It was like we were just going through the motions, even though I was doing my best to make her trip memorable. I didn't feel like Sarah was trying as hard as I was, and now I'm having a hard time shaking that feeling. Is it about her job? Is it about me? Is it that by traveling and meeting new people she has found that she now wishes she weren't married? Is she tired of our marriage? Or am I just seeing things that aren't there? I shook my head as I walked back to my truck. I had to get to work. On the way to work, I couldn't resist delving into my thoughts. When Sarah first left for Puerto Rico last summer, she had called me every day, sometimes twice. But that stopped around September, and now her daily calls have become only weekly. I tried calling her more often, but each time they went straight to voicemail, and she later told me that she doesn't turn her phone on while she's at work. But that doesn't explain why she does the same thing after work. When I got home from work that afternoon, I realized that Sarah still hadn't called me, and she was supposed to have landed in Puerto Rico some time ago. I tried to call, but it went to voicemail again. What the hell? She wouldn't be back to work until tomorrow. The next morning, Sarah finally called me at work, saying she was busy preparing for work yesterday, which is why she forgot to call. That didn't explain why her phone had been off for most of the afternoon and evening, but I accepted it. We didn't talk for long. She said she was just taking a little break and needed to get back to work. From that morning on, Sarah only called me once a week, always on the weekend, always on Saturday morning. Whenever I tried to call her at other times, I would always get her voicemail, and she would use some random excuse, usually about her working late. Even our calls on Saturday morning seemed more like an obligation, like she was checking in because she had to. If I had any anxious feeling at Christmas, it was now growing into a real concern. Sarah's trip home at the end of February had passed, and I was still left with the feeling that something was wrong between us. That Sarah was just repeating familiar behaviors while at home. By Easter, I did my best to put all apprehension aside as we met each other again at the airport. But in the 5 days that my wife was home, it only exacerbated my fears. She seemed detached again, almost aloof most of the time. Our intimate moments were casual at best, to be honest. While we were still best friends, as we always had been, it was the romantic and physical side of our relationship that suffered the most. On the last day of her Easter trip home, I decided to talk to her about what was on my mind. Sarah, is something bothering you? We just don't seem to be as close as we used to be. I can't explain it, but something's not right. Mike, I'm sorry, but working in Puerto Rico has been much harder than I could have imagined. The constant long hours, the multiple shifts, and all the stress that comes with it. What little time I don't work, I spend sleeping or lounging by the pool, trying to relax as best I can. I'm sorry I don't call you all the time. It makes me feel even more alone when I talk to you. Besides, what are we supposed to talk about? You're always asking about my work, and I'm trying my best not to think about it. We don't have to talk about your work. I'd like to be able to talk to my wife for more than just 30 minutes once a week. That's all you're giving me. Again, I'm sorry. I'll call more often in the future. Okay? I didn't realize you were so worried about it. I nodded at Sarah. Maybe I'm reading too much into all this. I'm hoping that when her contract is up in June and she comes home for good, we can get back to normal. I was glad I voiced my concerns, and she left on good terms. Although she promised to call more often, we were soon back to once-a-week phone calls. Sarah must have even set a reminder in her phone for 10 a.m. on Saturday mornings to call me. Now she always called at that exact time. June was approaching, and I was glad that her contract was coming to an end, that we could live our lives again and hopefully be ourselves again. I was tired of being alone. I missed her more than I could have ever imagined. Sarah was supposed to fly home on Sunday morning for good. However, I was expecting her to call me as usual on Saturday morning, but there was still no call by 11 a.m. I tried to call her, but again I got her voicemail. She can't be working on Saturday right before flying home. She even told me that her work contract officially ended yesterday. So what's going on? I tried calling her later Saturday afternoon and again in the evening, but always got voicemail. I was beginning to feel like the parent of a naughty child, overbearing and controlling. Today I left the first message for her to call me. So why the hell did she turn her phone off or not even check her messages? Sarah's behavior when it comes to keeping in touch with me has gotten to the point where I don't see any other reason than that she doesn't want to talk to me, or is busy doing something else where she doesn't want me in her way. Maybe with someone else. That's my real fear. Early Sunday morning, I finally got a text from Sarah. She apologized again for not responding to me sooner and then gave me her flight time. She would be flying home to Charlotte at 3 p.m. So I had a free morning before I needed to head to the airport to pick her up. I made sure everything was ready and then went for a run and worked out in our home gym. The whole time I was running and then working out, I couldn't get Sarah out of my mind. It bothered me that she might be having an affair while she was in Puerto Rico. I couldn't see any other logical explanation, and as an engineer who is taught to solve problems through logical thinking, it was the only reason I could understand for how Sarah had been acting since she started her overseas assignment. It explained why she had become less and less likely to contact me and seemed more emotionally detached when she was at home. It may also explain why her phone goes to voicemail so often when she shouldn't be at work. If she was with someone else, she wouldn't want me to call her. If she was having an affair, it would all make sense. But what do I do? Ask her straight out? What am I basing this on? My gut feelings and missed phone calls? I've never been a petty person or a fan of drama and gossip. Instead, I've always relied on facts, figures, and reality. I just can't start accusing her of something I don't have any facts about. And besides, how would it affect our marriage if I did? She would find out that I don't trust her, and that would make things even worse if she hasn't actually been with anyone at all. No, I'll do what I do best. I'll bury my feelings and emotions and just deal with what's in front of me. Sarah will come home this afternoon, and maybe all of this will be behind us, and our lives will return to normal. Sarah's welcome home felt really warm, and I was glad she was finally back. We quickly began to return to normal life, although I still felt that we were not yet back to the relationship we had before she left for her overseas assignment. It just didn't feel the same. Sarah is still a pleasure to talk to. She can be fun and genuine, warm and loving. All the things you would want in a best friend. But you need more than that from a wife. You need the emotional connection that a loving couple needs, and right now we are lacking that. My wife spent the first week after her return attending several interviews for the job she really wanted, being at Charlotte's main hospital, Atrium Health. By the end of the week, she gave me the happy news. She had been successful in her interview. Working at a major hospital meant that there were opportunities for career progression, and I was very happy for her. It also meant no more overseas contracts with her previous employer, which was a big reason I was happy for her. By the end of August, I was less worried about us. Sarah had been in her new job for almost 3 months and seemed to be enjoying it, although I still felt that we were no longer the same as we had been before her 12-month absence. I had come to the conclusion that perhaps this is how marriages evolve. Passion and intensity naturally fade over time, and perhaps that is what happened to us. Though I'd say it was mostly one-sided. Sarah seemed to lose some of her passion for me, not the other way around. The last few weeks have been particularly revealing. It's as if we're just two good friends living in the same house rather than a young married couple in love. And I have no idea why, that's not true. I have my suspicions. It's a Sunday morning at our house in early September. I've just made us both breakfast and coffee. I have a busy day planned. This morning I'm helping a friend with a home renovation, and this afternoon I'll be meeting with a client for one of my projects. I almost never do work on the weekends, but this was unavoidable. Good morning, Mike. You've already made breakfast. What would I do without you? Declared Sarah, kissing my cheek as she walked into the kitchen and sat down to eat. Good morning, sweetie. I have a busy day planned. I hope you don't get bored sitting home alone all day, I replied, adding the bacon I had just cooked to our plates. Oh, I'm sure I can think of something to do. Maybe even go out for a while. Are you going to walk or take an Uber? I replied, sipping my coffee. Right now we only have one car, my Ford truck, which I need today. I'll figure something out. What time do you think you'll be home? Asked Sarah. Probably around 6 p.m., maybe 7 o'clock. Were you planning on making anything for dinner tonight? If not, I can always grab something on the way home, I asked, finishing my bacon. You better grab something, in case I go out for a while. By the way, I wanted to tell you something, Sarah replied. You're not pregnant, are you? I smiled back. It used to be a standing joke between us when she said she had something to tell me. No, I can't believe you're still using that phrase. I wanted to tell you that there's a big healthcare conference coming up in 2 weeks at the Boston Convention Center. The organization Doctors Without Borders has asked me to attend to help educate young doctors about the benefits of contract work abroad with them, to sell the dream, so to speak. But you don't work for them anymore. Why would they ask you? I replied, leaning back in my chair with my coffee. They always ask doctors who have done contracts in other countries. Can't hurt. I might want to contract with them again sometime in the future. Who knows? I thought you were happy to work for Atrium so you wouldn't have to deal with contracts anymore, especially overseas? I replied, more than concerned that she might want to leave again. I'm happy with my job, Mike. Look, I'm just doing them a favor. Nothing more. It's a 2-day weekend conference. The booths are open both Saturday and Sunday. I'll get there by train. They'll pay for me to stay overnight in a nice hotel with meals included, so it won't cost me anything, replied Sarah. So you're inviting me along? Is that what this is all about? I'll be able to sightsee around Boston while you work the booths, I replied, finishing the last sip of my coffee. No, they only offered room and board for one. Sorry, but the hotel room will fit both of us. We don't even need to tell them. I'll pay for the food myself, I replied. Sounds good, but I don't want to mess around with reservations. The hotel will want to charge them for a double reservation, not a single. It's only 2 days and a Saturday night, plus I'll be working most of that time. We can go to Boston together some other time, okay? Replied Sarah. Okay, fine. At least I gave it a try. Hey, I got to go. Peter's expecting me there in about 30 minutes. If you go out, call me and let me know where you're going, okay? I can probably pick you up later, I replied, giving her a kiss on the cheek before starting to put on my work boots. I'll be fine. Maybe I won't go out at all. I don't know. Bye, sweetie, Sarah replied as I walked out of the kitchen heading toward the front door. Today I was helping Peter with concrete work as well as some other tasks. The other tasks were taken care of quickly, but we were still waiting for the delayed concrete truck to arrive. It was already 3 hours late, and the time was nearing noon. Then Peter finally got the call that the concrete crew had some serious problems with the truck and was canceling all work today. So that freed up most of my day. I had planned to leave for the client meeting at 4 p.m., but I called the customer to see if he could meet earlier. I was relieved that he would indeed be able to meet me at 1 p.m. So I said goodbye to Peter and headed out in my truck to get ready to meet the client. What I expected could have taken 2 hours, we had sorted out in just 20 minutes. The customer knew exactly what he needed, so I didn't have to spend time explaining all the options. When we were done, I checked my phone to see if Sarah had texted to say she was going out, but I had nothing, which meant she was still at home. So I headed home, where I could take a shower and then spend the rest of Sunday afternoon relaxing with my beautiful wife. As I entered the house, I called out to Sarah that I was home and started to take off my work boots so as not to get the carpet dirty. Receiving no response, I called out to her again, walking through the living room and kitchen to the laundry room to throw my clothes into the washer. and then headed to the bathroom to take a shower. I went into our bedroom, but Sarah wasn't there, so I quickly looked out into the backyard. Sarah still wasn't there. I got in the shower. I was a little annoyed that she hadn't called and told me where she was going, like I'd asked her to. I swear, sometimes it feels like only one of us is married. But whatever. As I changed in the bedroom, I thought about Sarah's red teddy. I still hadn't seen her wear it since I noticed it in her suitcase when she was home for Christmas. If she wasn't going to wear it, why did she buy it and bring it with her from Puerto Rico? And why would she have it in Puerto Rico anyway? Obviously, she had taken it with her when she went back there. That was another thing I couldn't explain about my wife. Her underwear drawer is right above mine in our dresser, so I opened it to see if she still had the red teddy or not. Took me a little digging, but I found it, like it was hidden in the bottom and back of the drawer. When I pulled it out, something wasn't right. It looked like it had been worn quite a few times and washed. Some of the trim around the waist was a little frayed, and I also noticed that one of the buttons in the front was missing. Clearly, she had worn it. It looked brand new the last time I saw it in her suitcase. But when did she wear it? She never wore it for me. How do you wear out lingerie unless you wear it while someone is with you? What other conclusion am I supposed to draw from this? It explains why she hid it in the far back of the drawer. Maybe it's not meant for me. I put her teddy away where I found it, hiding it in the far drawer like Sarah did. Where the hell is Sarah? I asked her to let me know where she was going if she went anywhere. I picked up my phone and called her, but it went to voicemail again. What the hell? Not this again. There was nothing left for me to do but wait for her to get home, so I decided to marinate steaks for us to eat tonight. After that, I headed to the gym again. I needed to get these thoughts of Sarah's possible infidelity out of my head. At 5:30, I heard the front door close as Sarah entered the house and headed into the bathroom to take a shower without calling out to me or saying anything. She must know I'm home. My truck is parked right out front. Again, odd behavior unless she has something to hide. When I heard her get out of the shower, I went upstairs to greet her. Hey, beautiful. How was your day? Where did you end up going? I asked. Oh, hi. I didn't know you were home. I just went for a walk around the neighborhood and then stopped at the grocery store. Sorry I didn't call. I forgot my phone, Sarah replied. No worries. I picked up some steaks for dinner. Are you hungry? Starving. Let me get dressed, and I'll come help you, she said, giving me a quick kiss. The rest of the evening felt normal, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The worn teddy, the secretive behavior, the missed calls. It all felt like pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve. 2 weeks later, Sarah left for Boston for the healthcare conference. She promised to call me Saturday night from the hotel, but when Saturday evening came and went without a call, I found myself pacing around our empty house, that familiar knot of anxiety growing in my stomach. Sunday afternoon, I decided to drive to Boston myself. I told myself I just wanted to surprise her, maybe take her to dinner after the conference ended. But deep down, I knew I was going there to find answers. The Boston Convention Center was massive, and it took me a while to find the right exhibition hall. When I finally located the Doctors Without Borders booth, Sarah wasn't there. A helpful volunteer told me the conference had wrapped up an hour ago, and most of the participants had headed to a nearby hotel bar for an informal gathering. I found the hotel easily enough. A nice place in downtown Boston. The bar was busy with what looked like medical professionals unwinding after a long day. I scanned the room, looking for Sarah's familiar blonde hair. Then I heard voices at a high-top table near the back. 2 men were talking, and I caught fragments of their conversation. That pretty blonde in the booth. Have you spent any time in Puerto Rico since last Christmas? Asked one of the men, slightly larger than the other. No, I've never been to Puerto Rico. Most recently I worked in Guatemala, and before that in Honduras. I've never met her until today, but she's very attractive. Her husband is very lucky, replied the older, taller, skinny guy that I felt a chill. They had to be talking about Sarah. I don't know how lucky her husband is. I was with her in Puerto Rico until last Christmas. Have you worked with Marcus Rodriguez before? He's one of the senior doctors who's been with us for a number of years. He was a team leader in Puerto Rico. He and Sarah spent a lot of time together, and I mean a lot, the larger guy replied, chuckling slightly. My heart stopped. They were definitely talking about my wife. What? I almost turned to ask the guy what he meant, but I remembered that I didn't know these men. What the hell? They're talking about my wife and this doctor, Marcus Rodriguez. Yeah, I know him. I worked with him early last year in Honduras. He seemed like a nice guy, happily married with kids. Did he really have an affair with Sarah? Not an affair. I'd call it a full-blown relationship. They couldn't get enough of each other. Shortly after she started working for us last summer, she came to us beautiful and innocent, like a flower ready to bloom. She wanted to impress Marcus, and I guess he couldn't resist. From the beginning, every moment they weren't working, they were together. You could hear them, well, day and night in the dormitories we all lived in. He even changed her roommate arrangement and moved in with her himself, which was not supposed to happen. Two married people of different genders living together like that. He only got away with it because he was the boss. The bigger guy continued. I was stunned. All this time I'd been wondering if something was going on. And now this guy had just laid it all out for me. Couldn't believe it. I felt numb. Wow, okay. So Marcus is finally over it? Is he home in Chicago now with his wife and kids? Well, I talked to Sarah just before the conference ended. Asked her if she was in touch with Marcus or not. I mean, it was pretty clear that they were a couple back then. They lived together, had dinner together, were inseparable. It's not like their relationship was kept secret or anything. But here's the interesting thing. She told me that he now works with her at Atrium Health in Charlotte. According to her, he only started working there a month ago. I think she probably helped him get a job there too. But she'll never admit it. Wait, he got divorced? He left his wife and kids for Sarah? An older balding guy asked. I asked her about it. Well, if he's even divorced now, she said no, he's just working with her for a while, whatever that means. I'll bet Marcus told his wife he's off on a contract somewhere overseas while he's having fun with a young doctor in North Carolina. He's just crazy to pull something like that, to lie to his wife to be with Sarah. To do that with a wife and kids at home is just wrong. The balding thin guy replied, and I agreed with his point of view. It was wrong. Sarah had ruined our marriage too. You say that, but you haven't seen Sarah sunbathing on the beach or by the pool in Puerto Rico. If you saw her, my goodness, even you might be tempted, the larger guy replied. No, I couldn't live with myself if I ever did that to my family, no matter how attractive she is. It's not worth it. Besides, she's married. So now she's working and no doubt sleeping with Marcus again, and then what? She goes home to her husband. The skinny older guy replied. Yeah, I know. It sucks to be him. Well, don't talk about it when she gets here after 5. It's really none of our business if she wants to have fun outside of marriage. I bet Marcus will probably be here soon too. There's no way he's going to pass up the opportunity to spend the night with her, the guy replied. Well, it'll be great to meet Marcus again, although I can't say I'll respect him as much now. What he's doing is not right. I could never even think about doing something like that to my wife and kids, the balding guy replied. Come on, even for a hottie like Sarah? Man, I'd give my left arm to spend just one night with her. The bigger one replied, chuckling. But you're single. You don't have a wife and kids at home to think about. There's more to life than just having fun, even if she's a 10 out of 10 like Sarah. The balding guy replied. Fair enough. Just remember, keep quiet when Sarah or Marcus gets here. Okay? Sure. I was still trying to process what I'd just heard. Everything made sense now, everything, even her recent behavior. She was having an affair with this Marcus guy again. She must have spent all day with him that Saturday when she was out of the house. which was why she hadn't answered her phone and wanted to shower right away when she got home. My anger reached a boiling point. I wanted to grab the guy and ask him what else he knew, but instead I tried to act casual, stood up, and walked out of the bar. I swear, if someone had bumped into me on the way out, I probably would have lost it completely. I went and sat down in front of the convention center. It was now 4:30 p.m. Did I want to wait to see her with him? To find out who this Marcus guy was? No, it didn't matter to me who he was. I was more angry with Sarah than anything else. I didn't care if he was cheating on his wife. I didn't care at all. All I cared about was that Sarah was cheating on me. That's all I cared about. What angered me most about Sarah was the lies and deceit, not just the betrayal. If she fell in love with this guy right after she arrived in Puerto Rico, why didn't she break up with me then? At least she should have had the courage to do it when she got home, instead of pretending we were still good, being intimate with me afterward when she clearly didn't love me anymore. And now, to help this guy get a job in our hometown where everyone knows us, she continues her affair right under my nose. I can't understand this complete lack of respect for me. It's like she's flaunting it. That's what I can't understand. Why would she do that? I've given her everything I can. We've always been best friends and lovers since high school. I've never kissed another girl other than Sarah, let alone anything more with anyone else. And now she's displaying her infidelity like she doesn't care about me at all. How did we get to this point? The only question left was, do I really need to see her with him with my own eyes? Maybe I think of it as closure. The fact that once I see her with another man she's romantically involved with, I'll realize once and for all that our marriage is truly over. I tried to pull myself together, but it was difficult. My mind was still spinning with thoughts, anger, frustration, and questions. The main question was why? Why, Sarah? Why did you decide to cheat on me? It was 5 o'clock in the evening now, so I got up and went back to the hotel. Most people were already leaving, but I didn't want to confront her yet. I just wanted to see her with him for myself. For closure. I headed toward the bar, stopping and sitting down at a coffee shop nearby. From where I was sitting, I could see the corner of the bar where I was earlier. 2 guys were still there, along with Sarah and another woman. A third man was there now. A tall guy with nicely styled brown hair who looked fit and well-dressed. He had been standing next to Sarah and now had his arm around her waist as they stood and socialized with the others. This must be Marcus, the same guy my wife cheated on me with. Seeing my wife standing with another man as he put his arm around her, claiming her for himself, was hard to take. Until today, I thought Sarah loved me and me alone. Even with all my suspicions, I hoped and prayed I was wrong. It's hard to explain this moment. To see her with him with my own eyes. She broke my heart and all my trust in one fell swoop. What was I going to do now? Go out there and confront her? Tell this guy to back off? I wanted so badly to go in there and vent my anger. But no, I didn't want an assault charge on top of the pain she was already causing me. My practical side told me not to make rash decisions while I was emotionally upset, that I needed to go home and calm down first. Now I had proof. I got what I came here for. I pulled out my phone and turned on the video, zooming in to capture them. As if on cue, Sarah turned slightly toward Marcus and kissed him on the lips. Just a quick kiss, but it clearly showed what he meant to her. I pressed stop and headed to the parking garage. It felt strange walking into our house that we'd shared together since we got married. While Sarah had been in Puerto Rico, I had felt lonely here, but now our house seemed different. Now it only served as a reminder of what should have been but was now gone. It would be hard to sleep tonight, knowing that my wife was being entertained in a hotel room by her lover in Boston while I lay here alone once again. The only question I had was why. Why Sarah? I decided to go back outside, go to a bar or something, get some dinner, and maybe have a couple beers. I just didn't want to be alone. I didn't get home until 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had no trouble sleeping after drinking too much. The morning hangover seemed to worsen my mood about my marriage. I needed to clear my head and decide what to do before Sarah got home this evening. One thing I knew for sure was that our marriage wasn't going to continue as before, and I wasn't going to pretend I didn't know or that I was going to accept it. No, it was definitely over. But now what? Pack up and move? No, screw it. She's the one cheating. Let her go and live with her boyfriend. He's probably renting an apartment somewhere in the city. He even works with her now. How do you do that so blatantly? How do you lie to your wife about where you are? Does she even know he lives in North Carolina and works here? At that moment, I realized what I needed to do. I opened my laptop and went to the Doctors Without Borders website to see if they had any information on him. They didn't have any, at least not publicly. So I checked popular employment sites, typing Marcus Rodriguez Physician Chicago into the search engine. I got a result. When I went to his profile, it indicated that he had recently worked in Honduras and Puerto Rico as a team leader with Doctors Without Borders. I went to his contact information, and he indicated he lived in Chicago and provided email, cell, and home numbers. Bingo. I made myself some coffee and sat in the backyard, sipping it. Do I really want to go through with this? I'm suffering because I found out the truth about my marriage. His wife deserves to know the truth about hers too. I picked up my phone and dialed his home number. A woman answered. Hello. Hi. Is this Mrs. Rodriguez? Yes, this is Jennifer Rodriguez. Who is this? Hi, Mrs. Rodriguez. You don't know me, but my name is Kevin, and I work for Doctors Without Borders. I was calling because we're trying to contact your husband, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, about a new contract opportunity, but we've been unable to reach him at his listed contact information. Do you know how we can reach him? That's strange. He's on a 6-month contract in Honduras right now and isn't due back until next month. Have you tried his international cell number? My heart sank. He was supposed to be in Honduras, but I just seen him in Boston with my wife. And now he's working in Charlotte. Oh, I see. When did he leave for Honduras, if you don't mind me asking? He left about a month ago. Is everything okay? Has something happened to him? Jennifer's voice was starting to show concern. I realized I was about to destroy this woman's world, just like my world had been destroyed. I'm sorry, Mrs. Rodriguez. I think there may be some confusion on our end. Let me check our records and call you back if we need to reach him. Okay, but you have me worried now. Are you sure he's okay? I'm sure he's fine, ma'am. Thank you for your time. I hung up the phone, feeling sick to my stomach. This poor woman had no idea that her husband was living in Charlotte, working at the same hospital as my wife, and sleeping with her instead of being in Honduras like he told her. I stared at my phone for a long moment. This woman deserved to know the truth, didn't she? Just like I deserved to know the truth about Sarah. I dialed the number again. Hello, Mrs. Rodriguez. I need to be completely honest with you. My name isn't really Kevin, and I don't actually work for Doctors Without Borders. My name is Mike Sullivan, and I'm married to Dr. Sarah Bennett. I believe your husband has been having an affair with my wife. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. What did you just say? Jennifer's voice was barely a whisper. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but your husband isn't in Honduras. He's been working at Atrium Health Hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina with my wife. They had an affair in Puerto Rico last year, and it's continued here. That's impossible. Marcus left for Honduras a month ago. I drove him to the airport myself. Ma'am, I just saw them together in Boston yesterday. They were at a medical conference acting like a couple. I have it on video if you need proof. The silence stretched on. I could hear her breathing, and I imagined her world crumbling just like mine had. Are you sure it was him? She finally asked. Tall, fit, brown hair, well-dressed, works as a senior doctor with Doctors Without Borders. Oh my God. Her voice broke. Oh my God. That bastard. I knew something was wrong. He's been so distant when he calls, and the calls have been getting less frequent. I thought it was just the stress of the work, but I'm so sorry, Mrs. Rodriguez. I know exactly how you feel. How long has this been going on? From what I overheard yesterday, it started last summer when they were both in Puerto Rico. It sounds like it was pretty serious even then. A whole year, she whispered. He's been lying to me for a whole year. We have 2 children, Mr. Sullivan. 2 young kids who think their daddy is helping sick people in Honduras. My heart ached for her. At least Sarah and I didn't have children to complicate things. Mrs. Rodriguez, I understand if you need time to process this. If you need any more information or if there's anything I can do to help. Actually, there is something. Can you tell me where he's living in Charlotte? I need to know if she's living with him. I gave her what little information I had about Atrium Health and the general area where I suspected he might be staying. We talked for a few more minutes, sharing our pain and disbelief. By the time we hung up, I felt like I'd made an unlikely ally in this mess. With that difficult conversation over, I needed to decide what to do about Sarah. I decided that I wasn't going to move out. Sarah should do it. I went to the garage, got our suitcases, took them into the bedroom, and started packing her clothes. They were full before I was even done, so I took our last suitcase from the laundry room and packed the rest of her clothes and all of her stuff from the bathroom. Once I was done with that, I carried all 3 suitcases to the front door, leaving them there for when Sarah got home tonight. With that task accomplished, I headed to the gym for a run. As I sat eating my lunch afterward, I tried to think through what I was going to say to her and what she might say in response. I was determined not to lose my temper. I didn't want her to see how hurt I was right now. No, I was going to have the courage to do what she should have done a year ago, end this once and for all. I watched sports on the TV to pass the time. It was almost 6 o'clock in the evening, and soon Sarah would call me to pick her up at the train station. That reminded me. I picked up my phone and turned it off. 2 can play this game. At 7:30 p.m., I heard a car stop in front of the house and a door close. Then our front door opened and closed as Sarah walked into the living room where I was sitting. I saw her stop and sigh. Mike, why is your phone off? You were supposed to come and pick me up, and I had to get a ride home. And why are all our suitcases by the front door? Asked Sarah, plopping down on the couch next to me. I'm so tired. It's been a very stressful and exhausting weekend. I feel like I need a few days off to recover. Sarah continued when I didn't immediately respond. Those suitcases are for you. They're full of your clothes and belongings. I know exactly why you're so tired after last night. I know who you spent that night with. I know everything, I replied calmly. Mike, what are you talking about? You don't understand anything, Sarah replied with a note of concern in her voice. You can stop lying, Sarah. It's all over now. You should have had the courage to end our marriage a year ago after you started cheating on me. Things have been wrong between us ever since. I didn't understand why, but I do now. I kept my composure as I answered her. What are you talking about? Cheating? What are you trying to say, Mike? I love you, Sarah replied, raising her voice. She seemed to be starting to realize that everything was falling apart. Yeah, that's right. You haven't loved me since Dr. Marcus Rodriguez started sleeping with you every day and every night while you were in Puerto Rico. Like I said, I know all about it. Sarah fell silent. Her eyes began to water. Finally, she jumped up and ran into the bedroom, closing the door behind her. It annoyed me that she didn't even have the courage to admit it now that she'd been caught. Maybe she'd been lying for so long that it was hard for her to admit what she'd been doing. I stayed on the couch watching TV. I wasn't going to go knock on our bedroom door and ask her to come out. Forget that. She could come to me. This was all on her conscience. She needed to figure that out for herself. It had been an hour since Sarah had run off to our bedroom. I decided I needed to eat and headed to the kitchen to make something. As I sat at the kitchen counter eating reheated noodles, I heard our bedroom door open, and a red-eyed and still crying Sarah came out. She walked into the kitchen and sat down on a stool on the opposite side of our counter. Mike, we need to talk. I have something to say, said Sarah quietly. Sure, come on. Let's hear it, I replied, finishing my noodles. First of all, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I never meant to hurt you, not for anything in the world. I never meant for any of this to happen. I really didn't, Sarah confessed sincerely. And yet, once it happened, you kept doing it over and over and over. I replied calmly. I know. I feel terrible about it. I bet you don't. You enjoyed being with him, that's why you kept doing it. You need to stop lying to me. Be honest for once, I replied. Sarah turned away from me, breaking eye contact. She then closed her eyes and sat in silence for a few seconds before looking at me again and speaking. You're right, Mike. I really enjoyed being with him. Every time I came home to you, all I could think about was being with him again. I hate that I feel this way. I hate what I did to you, admitted Sarah. Then I'll ask you again. Why didn't you just end our marriage as soon as this all started? Why lie to me, pretending that we were happily married when all you wanted to do was be with some other guy? Because I didn't want our marriage to end. I've loved you since we were teenagers. I couldn't imagine my life without you, and I still can't. So I kept telling myself that I could end it, that I was just being foolish, that I was just having fun, and that I didn't love him the way I love you. I kept telling myself that it would soon be over and we would be happily married again. And yet he lives and works here now, and you're sleeping with him again. It's hardly like you want it to be over or for you and me to be happily married. Hell, you even spent all last night with him after I asked if you wanted me to come with you for the weekend so we could enjoy a hotel room together. You outright lied to me. You planned to be with him the whole time. None of this was an accident. You've been lying and scheming for over a year now. I'm sorry. It's true. I only went to Boston so we could be together. It was hard to find time to be alone. Well, I'm sorry if my being around keeps you from having fun with someone else. Sarah, you found time 2 weeks ago while I was away, didn't you? You were with him right before you came home that day. I added. Yes, I'm sorry, Mike. I really am. A little late for that, don't you think? You just got home after organizing a weekend away with another guy, and all you can say is sorry. Do you regret doing it? Or regret getting caught? I know that nothing I say will probably improve the situation, but I love you, Mike. More than anything. More than anything in the world. You're kidding, right? You've been sleeping with another guy for over a year now, barely wanting to be intimate with me, and yet you sit here with a straight face and say you love me more than anything in the world. Do you have any idea how ridiculous that sounds? I do, and I know you're hurting right now, and that it's all because of me. I know you don't want to believe me, but I love you, Mike. I really do. I know my actions don't show it. Never mind that. Somewhere deep down in that twisted place you call a heart, you've convinced yourself that you still love me. Now you're just lying to yourself. There is no love between us. You made sure of that shortly after your trip to Puerto Rico. All the lies, the deceit, the betrayal, the pretending when you came home. Now I know why your phone always went to voicemail when you weren't working, because you were busy with him, weren't you? You didn't even care enough to call me back or want to talk to me afterward. All you wanted was him. Well, now you'll have him all you want. I couldn't call you. I was overwhelmed with guilt. I just couldn't do it. I knew what I was doing was wrong, that I was hurting you, but I couldn't explain it, couldn't stop. I didn't want to. Well, you should be happy now. You can be with Marcus whenever you want. Now you're free to do whatever you want. I even packed your bags for you. You see, I'm a good husband all the way to the end. Mike, that's not what I want. I want you. I always have and always will. You're the only man I'll ever love. I swear to you. This time Sarah was almost pleading. Like I said, it's too late for that. If you seriously think I would want to be with you after what you've done, then you must have far less respect for me than the little you've already shown. You think you can just apologize and say you love me, and that will somehow make things better? What the hell, Sarah? You ripped my heart out and stomped on it, and now you want to sit here and tell me sweet lies? Just get your suitcases and get out. Our marriage is over. We're separated. I hate you so much right now, I replied, finally giving in to my emotions even though I was trying my hardest not to. Sarah's tears flowed again. She stood up and walked toward our bedroom. I finished my noodles and opened a beer. I deserved one after all this. I went back to the living room and sat down to continue watching the game on TV. I didn't know what Sarah was doing in the bedroom. Her things weren't there anymore. She was probably crying, feeling sorry for herself now that the perfect world she'd built for herself had finally crumbled. 30 minutes later, Sarah walked out of our bedroom and stopped in the living room to talk to me one last time. "Mike, I know you hate me right now. I deserve it and you won't believe anything I say, but I have to say it anyway. From the moment we started dating in high school, I knew you were the man of my dreams, the man I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. Everything about you was so wonderful, and I loved you more than I ever thought possible. Even in college, when everyone around me was partying and hooking up, it never occurred to me that I would want to be with anyone but you. I was so happy when we got married. I thought we would be together forever." She paused, wiping her eyes. "When I went to Puerto Rico, I was so excited about my work, about helping people. I never expected to meet someone like Marcus. I never expected to feel the way I felt about him. I tried to fight it at first, I really did. But he was so charming, so experienced, so different from anything I'd known. And I was so far from home, so lonely, and he made me feel, I don't know, alive in a way I hadn't felt before." "Stop," I said quietly. "No, let me finish. When I came home the first time, I was going to tell you. I was going to end it with Marcus and try to make our marriage work. But every time I looked at you, I couldn't do it. You were so happy to see me, so loving, and I couldn't bear to hurt you. So I convinced myself that what happened in Puerto Rico could stay there, that I could come home and be your wife again. But you couldn't," I said bitterly. "No, I couldn't. Every day I was away from him felt like torture. Every phone call with you felt like a lie. And when he told me he was getting a job here in Charlotte, I knew I was lost. I knew I should have told you then, should have been honest, but I was a coward. I thought maybe I could have both, keep you as my husband and have him as whatever he was to me." "As your lover?" I said flatly. "Yes." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I know how selfish that sounds. I know how terrible it is. But I couldn't choose. I loved you both, just in different ways." "No, Sarah, you don't get to say that. You don't get to say you loved me while you were sneaking around behind my back, lying to my face, making me feel like I was going crazy for suspecting something was wrong. You're right. I'm sorry. I know that nothing I say will probably make this better, but I had to try. I know I destroyed our marriage. I know I destroyed your trust in me, in people. I hope that someday you can forgive me. I hope you can move on with your life and be happy again. Goodbye, Mike." With those words, Sarah turned and walked out the front door, grabbing the handles of her suitcases and dragging them to the street, where I heard a car waiting for her. She didn't say where she was going, whether she was going to stay with him or not, and I didn't care. I felt that her little speech was meant more for her than for me. She was trying to justify her actions so she could live with herself after what she did. She would like to leave with memories of what we were, not what we had become, and she wanted to leave me with kind words, not mean ones. But I truly believe that actions speak louder than words, and her actions have already said more than enough. To say that the next few weeks were difficult for me would be a massive understatement. I even had a hard time focusing on work. It was almost impossible for me not to think about Sarah and what she had done to me. After a few weeks, I finally contacted a divorce attorney and started the process. I decided it was better to get it over with than to drag it out. The other problem was the house we were renting. Even though we had lived here together since we got married, it reminded me of her. Everything reminded me of her. In 2 months, our lease was expiring, and I decided to move out and start over. Moving into a new apartment, I hoped that it would be a new beginning, that I would start to move on from Sarah, that I would finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was contacted by my attorney, The divorce papers were ready to be served, and I was asked for Sarah's address, which I had no idea about. I told him where she worked, and he said he would be able to find her at the hospital. Later that day, I received a call from the attorney informing me that there had been a complication. It turned out that Sarah no longer worked at the hospital. She was fired after Dr. Marcus Rodriguez's wife, Jennifer, sued her husband for divorce, and it was filed at the hospital. Dr. Sarah Bennett was listed in court documents along with their place of employment. The hospital administrator fired both Sarah and Marcus. Sarah for not disclosing her personal relationship with Marcus, and Marcus for not disclosing his relationship with Sarah while recommending her for employment. All in all, the hospital washed their hands of both of them. So where was she? How was I going to get my lawyer to serve her with divorce papers? I gave them the address and contact information for her parents in Florida. Maybe he could contact them and find out. Besides, there was also Jennifer, Marcus's wife. Maybe she knew where her husband was living and if he was living with Sarah now. I dialed her home phone number. I wasn't going to trick her this time. Hello, this is Jennifer speaking. Hi, Jennifer. You don't know me, but we've spoken before. The last time we spoke, I told you my name was Kevin from Doctors Without Borders. Yes, I remember. And thank you, I guess. Otherwise, I would never have known what was going on with my husband. You're welcome. My real name is Mike Sullivan. I was married to Dr. Sarah Bennett, the woman who had the affair with your husband. Yes, I know who she is. Are you still married? Well, that's why I'm calling you. I was hoping you could help me this time. I'll help if I can, replied Jennifer. Both Sarah and Marcus were fired from Atrium Health because you filed for divorce and named them as their employers. They fired them for not disclosing their personal relationships. Yes, I know. I spoke to the hospital administrator and demanded that she take action, or I would drag them through the mud for allowing married employees to hire their lovers with the hospital's blessing. She wanted no part of it, Jennifer replied. Good for you, Jennifer. I'm calling because my attorney is trying to serve Sarah with our divorce papers, but I don't know where she lives or where she works after being fired. I was wondering if you know where Marcus lives. Maybe Sarah is living with him. I know where Marcus is. He lives here in Chicago in an apartment near our house. He said he wanted to be close to his kids, though I'm not sure why. He spent most of their lives living and working overseas, and I don't think he'll be here long. I don't know if he brought Sarah with him. I'm not sure, Jennifer said to me. Can I get his address and phone number from you? Maybe my lawyer can contact him and find out if my ex-wife is living with him. It's hard, isn't it, to stop thinking of her as your wife? It's the same for me. Be strong, Mike. We'll both get over it eventually. I'll text you his details after we talk. Thank you, Jennifer. I hope you're doing well too. I can't imagine how hard it would be if Sarah and I had kids too. It's probably not easy for them either. They're not really having it that bad. I think it's because their dad has barely been in their lives so far, so now things aren't much different from what they're already used to. That's the only silver lining. Yeah, well, I hope you're taking him for every dime he has, I added. Oh yeah, my divorce lawyer. She's absolutely ruthless, and I love her. She's really expensive too, so I'm lucky Marcus is paying for her out of all the money he made on his contract. I get the kids, the house, the car, and 50% of his salary for at least the next 12 years until our kids turn 18. He deserves everything he gets. Yes, without a doubt. Sarah and I have nothing to fight about. We've just started out on our journey. We don't have children or a home. Things should be pretty easy for us. Well, it's better to start over when you don't have children together yet. I don't know what I'm going to do. Who would want to be with a 30-year-old divorced mother of two? I even gave up my career to look after the kids. Soon I'll have to dust off my resume and go back to work, Jennifer replied, sighing slightly at the end. I'm sure you'll be fine. Thanks again for sending his information. Hopefully, I can get her served and get this over with. All right. Goodbye, Mike. Take care, Jennifer replied. When we were done talking, Marcus's wife sent me his address, and my lawyer had someone check to see if Sarah lived there too. But it turned out they weren't together anymore, at least according to Marcus. He said that she had a new contract with Doctors Without Borders, and that my lawyer should contact them about her whereabouts. It turned out that Sarah was now working on a 6-month contract in Honduras, and my attorney informed me that he had no way to serve her until she returned to the United States. I was not happy that the case would drag on even longer. But soon, to my surprise, Sarah was already working with a divorce attorney and had papers served to me at my home. It was simple. She didn't ask for anything. 6 months passed, and we were officially divorced. In that time, I have never seen or heard from Sarah, nor do I expect to in the future. I'd like to say my life is great now, but I'd be lying. My job is fine, my family is fine, and my friends are good. It's just hard when I feel like I've lost the other half of myself. My best friend, my only lover. I'm told it will get easier with time, that I'll find someone new to be with, but I'm not sure about that. What I had with Sarah was all I ever wanted. I don't know if I'll ever be able to truly trust someone again after what she did to me. Sometimes there are no happy endings, just an end to what was, and then those involved try to deal with it and move on with their lives. I hope everyone is right that things will get better with time, but it doesn't feel that way to me right now. It feels like I'm just dealing with it, burying the resentment as far as I can. I still don't understand why she did it, and I probably never will. The hardest part is the loneliness. Coming home to an empty apartment, eating dinner alone, watching TV by myself. It's like learning how to live all over again. I've been with Sarah in some form since I was 16. She was my first everything, and now she's my first heartbreak too. My friends tell me to get back out there, to start dating again. The best way to get over someone is to get under someone else. My buddy Jake keeps telling me. But the thought of being intimate with another woman, of trusting someone enough to let them into my heart again, seems impossible right now. I've started seeing a therapist. Not because I'm falling apart, though there are days when it feels like I might, but because I need to understand how I missed the signs for so long. How did I live with someone for so long, love them completely, and not really know them at all? Dr. Patterson, my therapist, says it's not my fault. That people who cheat become very good at compartmentalizing, at living double lives. She says Sarah probably loved me in her way, even while she was betraying me. But that doesn't make it hurt any less. I wonder sometimes what would have happened if I hadn't gone to Boston that day. Would I still be living in ignorant bliss? Would Sarah have eventually left Marcus and tried to make our marriage work? Or would she have continued the affair indefinitely, treating me like a fool while she lived her double life? I'll never know, and maybe that's for the best. What I do know is that I'm a different person now than I was a year ago. More cautious, more guarded, but also stronger in some ways. I survived something I never thought I could survive. I'm still here, still breathing, still getting up every morning and going to work and living my life. Maybe that has to be enough for now. Thank you for your viewing. See you next time. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to JK Tells a Story for more tales.